Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. Well, today I'm asking the question, what will it take to make our communities safer? And I'm referencing the tragedy that took place last weekend at the University of Alabama on the Strip. Now, the Strip at the University of Alabama is a place where kids go to have a good time. Mostly on the weekends. They have bars and restaurants and clubs and places for college students to hang out. You can see the sign. It says the Strip. This area under video surveillance. For emergencies, use blue phones. No parking on football game days after 6 a.m. Violators will be towed. And be safe and enjoy your visit. The Strip is sort of the center of University of Alabama life. It's right there on University Boulevard, right next to the football stadium. There are fraternity houses nearby, and it's close to downtown Tuscaloosa. So it's a very popular place to be in Tuscaloosa, especially if you're a student at the University of Alabama. And it has always been seen as a safe place for young people to go, have a good time, and hang out. The Strip has been going probably 100 years. I have never heard of anybody getting killed on the Strip. Kids really go there, especially after a big ball game, if they're in the playoffs, if they win the championship. It's just a place where there's a lot of excitement, a lot of drinking and carrying on the Strip. And it's mostly white kids. It's mostly white kids hanging out on the Strip. But black kids are in the mix, and they seem to have found a peaceful way to coexist, everybody having a good time. And then in one weekend, somebody can come in and just ruin the whole thing. These two, Darius Miles and Michael Davis, have been charged with capital murder in the death of this beautiful young woman, Jamil Janae Harris. The details of this incident and this tragedy really are sketchy, but what is said is that she was in a car and this Darius Miles came up trying to talk to her. She rebuffed him, and that's when the shooting started. I have two nieces in college, and they hang out on the Strip. One of my sisters called me and told me that her granddaughter was on the Strip at the time. There is a nightclub that they like to hang out. They were outside waiting to get in the club or something like that, and they heard the gunshots. And everybody started running naturally. And somehow she managed to get the gunshot sounds on her cell phone. But this is just scary because this is a place that everybody thought was safe for their children to hang out on a Saturday night, and this is what occurred. The question is, why are people bringing guns to the Strip? They go to the Strip to have a good time, college students. Why do you need a gun on the Strip? If you are that scared to go out on a Saturday night around college-age students, you might want to think about staying at home. Now, this young man, Darius Miles, has been talked about the most because he was on the University of Alabama's basketball team. And everybody is baffled as to why a young man with such a promising future would get caught up in something like this. That is the $64 million question. Why? But I believe it's this hood law that these young black men, too many of them, try to live by. This hood law, I got to carry a gun. I got to scare everybody. The tragedy of hood law is that the people who think they are protecting themselves and who are trying to be bad are the ones who end up victimizing others and also becoming victims themselves. A capital murder charge in the state of Alabama is not something to play with. And these two make 5 young black men under the age of 25 in Tuscaloosa County in less than 2 years that have a capital murder charge hanging over their heads. These men are discharging weapons in crowds and people are losing their lives. When you're charged with this kind of crime in Alabama, they are going to follow through with it. There is no white savior. There is no black savior. They are going to follow through with it. It doesn't matter how many times they have to stick you. They're going to do it until your life is over, because that is just something very serious. 23, 20, 21, 24, and your life is already over nonsense, BS. It is just tragic. This hood law is so tragic. Nobody seems to know what to do. I think we can begin with people who are mentoring these young men, old men, failures, who are making them feel like they don't have to respect anybody. And then it's the music that they're listening to, rapping about the Wild Wild West culture, where they're Matt Dillon or the Tarleton Gang having a shootout at the OK Corral or something like that, just rapping about something to make money, and these young men are trying to live by that destructive culture. And it's destroying them and other people that get in their orbit. On this channel, I would prefer to just talk about the historical aspect of African American culture. That's what I would like to do most of all. But with our society being what it is, and with this culture of misogyny, this culture of violence against black people, and especially black women, I feel like everybody needs to have a voice. I feel like everybody needs to speak out against this. We can't just bury our heads in the sand and say, I'm just going to talk about the good things about black Americans. I'm not going to get caught up in the gender wars. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. We have to have all hands on deck. Everybody's got to say something about this destructive behavior. Nobody is safe. Nobody's child is safe. We have to be all in and speaking out against the culture that's causing young men to go out behaving like this, not even having regard for the lives of the people around them and what really could happen. Because common sense would dictate that you would know that if you are firing in a crowd, somebody might get hurt. Somebody that you're not even having a problem with might get hurt. These young people are not even being taught to think and to count the cost of what they do, of their actions, and consider what the consequences would be, and would you want those consequences? There has to be some type of intervention with these young people. And I think that when the intervention comes, it's going to come in a way that's very harsh, and then we're going to say it's racism. And we don't have, it's not a matter of bashing black men. It's a matter of pointing out some behavior that's very destructive. Because if this is going to be a civilized society, that behavior is going to have to be dealt with at some point. We have to determine whether we want something done about this kind of behavior. As far as these men, mentoring these young men and making them think that they can do anything they want to do and blame it on somebody else, I think that's going to be stopped. A lot of this is going on social media, and I believe I'm hearing that this mentality, this toxic masculinity, because that's what it is, that the FBI is investigating it. Eventually they'll do something about it. I believe that if black people put pressure on the right people, we can start to get something done about this criminal behavior that's really got everybody at risk. So this hood law is tragic. It is hurting everybody, and nobody is safe. So I say it's time to do something about this hood law. But what say you? Let me know what you think about this. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.